Hello and welcome to another We Are Developers Live. It's Wednesday again, and hopefully our technology works. Dan, you said your ears are not working?
Yeah, right until we went live, it was hit or miss as to whether I was actually going to be able to hear you because the intro music stopped for me, but then I heard the short intro to the show. But we can hear each other, so it's okay. We'll just go with it. This is live.
I guess we go with it, right? Yeah, that's a good thing to do. So yeah, we got a nice show today again. We got lots of stuff that I found. We got more details about the AWS hackathon that's happening at the Congress on 8th of July in Berlin. And we got a friend coming along today as well. We got Tim Cadenbach today here, formerly of DevRel. And yeah, and one of the DevRel people out there that's right now looking around, organizing and analyzing what DevRel is doing right and what DevRel is doing wrong. How are you doing, Tim?
Pretty well, and exactly like you said, like trying to get DevRel sorted out a little bit better in terms of AI and everything.
Yeah, it's a weird world to be in. Like, I mean, we always said like, okay, developers are our audience, our companies are our audience, but now we also got agents as our audience. And I have a hard time trying to optimize things for something that just scrapes and takes your data away. It feels so wasteful, kind of thing. Like, it's like SEO back then when you're like, oh, you got to do this for SEO, and I'm like, well, how about no? How about I just do things for people and SEO comes naturally, and hopefully that's gonna be the case. But I don't know. Lots of stuff to do. What I find interesting though is that like the amount of in-person meetups seems to have like blossomed again. Like in back in the days, we had like one virtual event every single day, and now it's like lots of meetups. I mean, especially Berlin, you could again go around and not actually have to buy any food. You could just have like pizza and beer every day, which is probably not a good idea, but you could. I remember when the Silicon Valley, when I was there the first time, I didn't bring any clothing. I just went to a meetup at night and got a T-shirt for the day for the next day from that company on that day. So that was quite interesting.
I mean, that's kind of what we discussed the other day as well. It's like you don't write content for people anymore in some way because the AI is doing that, and people only read your content through Claude or whatever. So all the human things AI can't do become way more important, like talking to people as a person, pretty much showing that you still care for them, and all the human interactions in that sense are way more important. And we can see that, like you said, all the companies coming up with in-person meetings. I think Lovable is doing a hackathon series or something like that in person, and we see a lot more of that lately.
It's interesting that, especially that we now can meet each other again, and yeah, the other part of it, of course, is like the amount of people that just go from event to event and just like, yeah, I do agentic development, and you're like, yeah, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I need a technical co-founder. Oh God, not again. Cool. Let's take a look at some of the news bits that I collected, because I collected far too many again, because I got a bit overexcited about the things. The first one is that Anthropic actually, ironically, proposes that there should be a global slowdown of AI development because it's concerned about AI being able to build its own successors. And they call that recursive self-improvement. Interesting idea, but actually fascinating to see that companies that their sole purpose is to actually be AI tell us that, oh, we're actually too scared of our own AI doing things to replace itself and make the human in the loop unnecessary. Feels marketing-y though, doesn't it? Like it's always this like, oh, this thing is so good, it's actually, we have to be worried about it. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I mean, the whole thing with what that other thing called Fable Mystic, the model that's too dangerous to put out there. I mean, at one point they say, "Oh, look, we care so much about everything." I don't know if it's just for marketing or if they really do, to be honest. I mean, they do a lot of things really well. So.
Yeah, Fable got released today. That's basically the secure mythos that actually is not for that's basically red team, blue team kind of thing. It's basically, this is not for attacking, this is just for defending and for finding. interesting to see if that's going to make a difference as well. But it found a lot of stuff, and Microsoft just had the biggest Patch Tuesday last week as well, or yesterday actually, where it's like over 200 bugs, I think, were fixed. 2 of them critical. It's like, wow. Getting there, but the whole idea of like AI building itself, and as you said earlier, we have people meetups in person again, and that was the whole idea of AI, basically to give us more free time to be human and to do human things and automate away the boring bits. But what I see making headlines is robots slapping children at the moment, so that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
Is that a look into fake or news? Is that a bit of a sneak peek? But just on that as well, I think it is good though, just to say, to sort of be devil's advocate a little bit, that it is good at least to see these companies, whether it's marketing or whatever, but particularly Anthropic, at least openly having the conversation around like the ethics, because they're going to be criticized for it, you know, for kind of, especially with Mythos saying how powerful it is. It's with great power comes great responsibility. So you could say it's kind of both sides of that coin. You know, it's good that they're looking at the ethical side, but of course there'll be an element of it that's kind of PR, unfortunately.
And then I loved the other headline that it came across, like Anthropic says 80% of its new production code is authored by Claude, how your enterprise can keep up. And I don't understand this at all. Like, yeah, of course, Claude is going to write its own thing with its own code. But why would your enterprise software that is for an insurance company for 50 years old needs to be at the same speed? This is always this like marketing people saying like, oh, everybody has to be as fast in releasing software as these AI companies are. And you're like, no, not at all. Please don't change my insurance company website and app every 2 days with a vibe-coded crap thing. Just give us features when they really make sense, rather than this whole hamster wheel of having to reinvent continuously is a very bizarre power play that people do these days. I don't understand that. Like, as an enterprise provider, I'm like, no, you should not feel bad about not releasing anything for a few days. That's totally okay.
Yeah.
Now, Cloudflare, who are actually sponsoring the Code 100 challenge this year as well at the Congress. So they have this interesting thing where the CEO says bot internet traffic has overtaken humans for the first time, and he hasn't expected that to happen until next year. And yeah, I'm not surprised. But I'm also wondering how is this measured? Like, which parts of the internet are that? Like, is it news sites being scraped? Is it personal sites being scraped? I would assume that in the adult entertainment, there's lots of manual labor still happening. I'm not sure. Like, what does that even mean? Like, bot traffic to the biggest 1 million websites, to Google, to it feels always this like, how can you even compare these two things? But yeah, we can see bots happening everywhere as well. But how do you see that, Tim, on your? Yeah.
If you log into Cloudflare, if you have any domain running on Cloudflare and traffic going through Cloudflare, you can log in and you can see the analytics. Well, you always have been able to see analytics, and then they now split that between traditional bots and AI bots. However they do that, I don't know. But they specifically show you, hey, this much traffic came from AI and this much traffic came from traditional humans. And you can see that AI is it's quickly going to be a lot more than normal human traffic. You can already see that on pretty much any domain that's somewhere indexed in the internet. You can see that.
Yeah, but of course, bots can just come around, but that doesn't mean that your readership goes away for that. I mean, that's the weird thing that I'm like, I think comparing those two makes no sense. If I go to a website to read it, it's a different thing than when an agent goes there just to scrape a headline. These are like, I mean, saying that the traffic comes from bots is not surprising because it's very easy to do. So the question is like, do we lose people because of it, or do we, or is it just that that's an apple and pears comparison?
I think it's a little bit similar. Yeah, I think it's a little bit similar to DevRel in as well, because like you don't lose the humans, but the humans don't consume your content on your website anymore, but through asking ChatGPT or whatever. And they get infos about your company in their favorite AI. And they probably are less on an individual company website.
It does feel like when people said like you gotta publish on Facebook because that's where people are, and I said like I don't wanna because I want to keep it on my server. And now it's basically that the chatbots or the agents that we have right now are actually the new walled garden where our content goes to die or our content goes to be consumed without us knowing who consumes it.
But there's a difference, at least, in the fact that the content before was all online, and it was just that Facebook had the visibility, right? As you know, the kind of advantage they had over you publishing it on your own website. Now it's all of those websites, you know, none of them have the visibility because it's all going through the chatbot. So like you're saying, it's a walled garden, but it's not even the same as it was. It's kind of more centralized and consolidated into really you needing to make sure that Claude is happy with you or ChatGPT is happy with you, you know, and actually indexes you.
So Fastly has the same thing where it's like AI traffic grew 6 times faster than human traffic this year. Like, yeah, of course, it's not surprising. I mean, like when a new search engine came out, that traffic would be like 400 times bigger than human traffic as well, because we just started doing that. So it's not like, I don't see this as a success story. I just see this as an implementation story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
now, in terms of security, come again?
I say we always like to do that, though. We always like to kind of have these records or things that people point to. I just remembered then when you said that about, well, of course that happened, because I remember when I think it was 2007 or 2008, whenever the first iPhone came out, and it was this thing that was pointed to as like more data was shared on that day than at any point in human history. And you think, well, yeah, because everybody got iPhones, and so they took pictures and they uploaded them to Facebook, and there was huge amounts of data on that one day because it was Christmas Day. And it's not surprising. It's like, yes, because people didn't have iPhones. So I just thought of that when you said the same thing then, you know, we didn't have AI before. So, yeah.
Also, the whole AI traffic. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The whole AI traffic grew faster than human traffic. Yeah, human traffic isn't growing as fast anyway, because we're not producing more humans who are sitting in the internet as fast, whatever. So human traffic can't grow as fast, but like you said, having a completely new thing which only existed for like, I don't know, 5 months now, 6 months maybe. Yeah, of course, it's completely new. Everyone is adopting it. Everyone's jumping on it. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, also human traffic is a limited resource. We got so much time in our day to read things, to consume things, to do things. So basically, of course, AI crawlers are not an unlimited resource. They just send it out and start scraping and slurping things, and they don't mind. Whereas we get overloaded if we actually look at too many things at the same time. So that's the other thing. Of course, people coming from Google and used to actually click through and become a human consumer of your product now get an AI overview from Google and don't do that. So basically, that human is also counted as an AI agent then.
Yeah. It's true.
That's the other confusion. Now, Instagram had a problem with their AI chatbot, and that actually allowed people to send people password reset links. So 20,000 accounts on that day, that was on June the 8th, and by now it's 35,000 accounts, including Obama's old account, had been hacked or has been like taken out there, and Meta renamed all of them. But yeah, the amount of people that just put an AI chatbot out there and just don't realize that the thing is unlimited, and with the proper prompting you can do something to it, it's just interesting to see. I remember when we had these helpful bots, you know, like IKEA bot or these kind of things on websites, Flash-based things. And nowadays it's like, I mean, I see that in the Amazon app, like every time I click that Rufus button, it's by accident. I've never wanted to have that thing, like, you know.
Same. And I don't even look at it when it pops up. Do you actually use it when it pops up as well? You just click it away, right? Yeah, same.
The other day, someone shared something on Twitter where I think that was McDonald's, where he used a company's bot, either Burger King or McDonald's, I can't remember, but he
McDonald's.
used it and he asked the bot to generate Python code, whatever, because the bot just could.
Yeah.
I love it.
And yeah, you can burn through tons of tokens that way on McDonald's behalf. So that's an interesting one. Now, there's this worm that went through Red Hat's accounts, and actually now also got, I don't care, I don't want to chat with you. And it basically now has 73 Microsoft open source GitHub accounts. So a lot of open source GitHub accounts from Microsoft are currently private or shut down because they actually have been infected. And that's basically a mutation of the same Mini-Shy Halut worm that first went through to Red Hat and now to Microsoft. And I'm quite sure there will be more companies soon. I could guess IBM. I could guess something like one of the bigger ones as well. So take a look at that one. And if you're wondering why some open source repos are not available at the moment, it's because they're under attack at the moment. One thing that Microsoft did as well to work against that is a 2-hour extension auto update delay to supply chain attacks. So basically, extensions cannot update all the time because that's what happened. Basically, the extensions get a malicious code in there, and now there is a delay of 2 hours rather than continuously trying to actually get something in there. So again, if you're wondering why your extensions are not updating anymore, this is also the reason. Then we got the Hola browser, got compromised to deliver CryptoMiner on Windows. We had that on the show before, that browser, but I completely forgot about it. It was one of those that automatically clicks away like pop-ups for you and does automatically go through like captchas for you and stuff. So yeah, that, and yeah, surprisingly, and it's got a VPN installed as well. And now it's been sending different things to your Windows machine here. So, and I guess they're working on it, but I don't know how big the user numbers are as well. Like, but people have been talking about it when it came to like, oh, this is not available in your country. You can use Hola browser to actually watch BBC iPlayer in Germany and these kind of things without setting up a VPN yourself because it's in the browser, much like Firefox has now as well. And the last security bit was that LLM share. The AI chatbot pages are actually used to deliver malware because it seems like most of the chat systems just render HTML without filtering whatsoever. They just trust whatever comes back from the LLM and show it. And this is such a step back in terms of like what we do in terms of XSS awareness and things. It's just very brutal that the HTML that just gets rendered is not even looked at. And yeah, any link, any button, any image unload can actually be an attack vector. So don't trust any HTML being sent to you. That's why we use inner text instead of inner HTML. But yeah, that was news and stuff. So some more details about the hackathon that we talked about last time as well. So we have at the Congress, where Tim, you're going to be there as well for sure. AWS is a Football for Good event. And it starts, it's basically on day 0 on the day before the conference where it starts. So they have a workshop and there's a kickoff and Hello Agent build, team up and build sprint and so on and so forth. We could go into this in more detail, or we will publish this as an Instagram story afterwards anyways, and you can look it up at this website if you want to as well. The tech stack is Strands Agent, Bedrock Agent Core, and Amazon Bedrock. You should think about installing the Kira IDE beforehand if you want to take part in the AWS MCP servers. And now they actually announced the prices. So it's actually $9,500 in total, $5,000 for the first place. So if you're a group, $1,250 per person. Second place, $3,000, and third place, $1,500. And credits distributed are to each team member. And of course, swag packages for winners, finalists, and all. It's open to anybody, to developers and students that actually want to work with it. And all you need is an AWS account, a Builder ID, GitHub, and Kira IDE installed. So that's the Football for Good hackathon that's going to come at the Congress. It's going to be interesting to see that running through the whole Congress. But I find it good prices. I find it very interesting. And last week we had somebody on the show that actually talked about it in detail. So let's see what's going to come there. Have you looked at Tim? Have you looked at Bedrock and Kiro IDE or things like that? Because I haven't.
No, briefly, just barely enough to know what it is, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I've taken a look either, but it does sound good. Sounds like a good hackathon, though. I mean, we were saying as well, very apt as well, being in Europe and with the World Cup being over in the States, and then we're going over to the States in September. So yeah, it all kind of works nicely, but should be a good hackathon.
It would be interesting to see that say like that they say it's open for basically anybody. It could be a developer, it could be students, all levels. No AI expertise is needed, and I think that's a great opportunity. That's why you do these hackathons. You want your systems to be used by anybody who has no clue, to see if your documentation is good enough or if it's easy to actually get started with it. So I'm very much looking forward to see what else they will do there. We have other partners that will have like coding things. NVIDIA are going to have stuff on their booth as well. They're going to also be part of the Code 100 challenge. So it's going to be interesting to see. And Cloudflare is another one I'm working with. They even going to do one of the Code 100 challenges. So yeah, lots of stuff happening. And AWS, Football for Good, if you come to the conference, that might be a good thing to get some extra money and to actually play with something and try it out. And I guess the prize money is one thing, but they have lots of stuff to give away as well. Now, some geek thing. This has been doing the rounds, which I found also fascinating, that you can actually create ASCII art from images for people that actually have agents now. And you see everybody coming up with these logos that you saw like in ASCII World 1997. And this one now is a full-fledged tool to actually allow you to build your ASCII logos for your agent and for your CLI interface. And it's been done for quite a while. It will be interesting to see when people start not embracing only ASCII, but also ANSI, because then you got like the 16 colors and all the stuff going on there. But yeah, it's fascinating that people get super excited about that. I mean, like, okay, your branding is important, but I mean, if I use an agent, my terminal scrolls so fast, I don't even see your logo long enough for me to recognize it.
But you could, potentially.
It's true.
That's true. So this is a really cool insight as well, using local LLMs for agentic coding. I found that fascinating. For friends of mine asked me about that, like how they can use their own machine rather than paying lots of tokens to companies. So this one is a real in-depth explanation of how to actually set up your own machine with Olama and other bits and actually do agentic coding on your own machine. And yeah, I've done it on one of my machines, but it feels like, okay, if I want speed, I still need to use the stuff that Claude gives me, and my company pays for it. So that's actually making sense. But I think this is a very cool thing for somebody to just get started. And I love that Alex Everlove here just really went into detail about it, rather than just like, oh, just do this.
Actually seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I'm really waiting for the new NVIDIA Spark laptops Microsoft announced on
Yeah.
because these things can actually change a lot. Like if you really have such a powerful machine, and the price tag from what I've seen so far is around 3.5K ish roughly. And for that you get a machine for your home as a laptop or as a I think an Asus one is already available as a desktop machine, but there's already also laptops coming out, which should be more than powerful enough to run local LLMs.
Cool. Some tips and tricks. Microsoft brings core utils to Windows. So this is basically now you have no excuse anymore not to know Unix commands, because now they're available on Windows as well. And they're available on GitHub as to take a look at. And then you got all the functionality that you would expect from it. So you got cat, CP, date, dir, echo, expand, and so on and so forth. So Dan, now... You always whenever we look at something together, it's like Dan is like, okay, here's the tool that I downloaded, and here's the thing, and I go to the terminal and type things that are incomprehensible, and he's just standing there like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I've been kind of surprised how much you do in the terminal, because you said to me you do everything in the terminal, but I mean everything. Like, it's stuff that I go, I don't know. It's kind of, it's amazing really to sort of have it as such a second language to you, that you know that it's the thing you reach for. Because for me, it's not, and I'm such a sucker for a UI. I just know that I love. Like we've said before about things like, you know, how many of the open source things like Audacity and what was the other one, Handbrake, you know, and all these ones that have just put like a pretty bad UI on top of something that didn't, you know, intrinsically have it. So take that all the way forward to like something that's got a really nice UI, and I sort of go, how does someone then just do this command line instead? You know, like why? But yeah, it just shows, doesn't it? Different strokes, different folks. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing though is like we had WSL for Windows for a long time. So basically you have a Ubuntu shell in Windows. So it feels like this is for the last people that don't want to touch anything Unix flavored, I guess. But yeah, it's some of the bits don't work because as for example, more conflicts with the DOS commands and these kind of things. So and also there is no signals on Windows. So the kill command doesn't work, but I guess you just use the win what's it called? Application thing? Task manager on Windows instead. Yeah. Another interesting site is intelligence per dollar. That's basically a comparison of like how many tokens you have on which system and how much money you get from it. So that's an interesting little comparison to see what's going on there as well. But yeah, I always wonder like who's actually doing all these things to optimize that way. It's actually a bit more like, okay, just use one and you get happy with it. But it's interesting to see people doing these comparisons. And the last tip,
it really starts to matter at scale. When you're running a 10,000 people company, everyone is using AI, then these things suddenly really, really matter.
Yeah, for sure. And for your own thing as well. I mean, the whole like now with GitHub going to token-based billing and not monthly billing as well. I started looking at my Copilot differently as well, and I'm like, oh, actually, this is weird. Same with like when I go tonight, I'm flying to England again, and then you do like you have data Europe-wide, but when I text my partner or I call her because she hates the internet, she just wants text messages or calling. I realized when I was in America last time, out of a sudden I spent $50 on calls that I completely forgot about, that this is still a thing. So the free bit that we've been experiencing is going away, and it's going to be interesting to see how much more this is going to be costing there, because the cost of AI is there, and it's just backed up by VC money at the moment. We have not figured that out. It's a very, very expensive thing that we do.
I read a pretty, let's phrase it, interesting article yesterday where someone compared Anthropic and Copilot with drug dealers pretty much, and said, look, initially they gave you a lot for free. They want to get you hooked. They want to get you addicted, and then they say, look, now you have to pay for it, which is a traditional thing many companies did in past, and it's especially common in like drugs and whatever. And they're kind of doing the same thing. They gave everything for free. They wanted to make everything addicted, and it is some kind of addiction if we're honest. And now they charge you for it.
But that's been in software all the time as well. Like, I mean, that's why you have student licenses for everything, and like and. I mean, there was just at Microsoft, somebody said that they want people get addicted to their bot or something, and now they're trying to find the person who said that, because it feels like a really bad messaging out there. So I don't know, but yeah, the first fix is free is a very common thing, and to lock you into the system that way. I mean, look at like Gmail and look at like Google Photos. I mean, I just upgraded my partner's Google Photos because she used the 15 gig. But using up 15 gig takes a while, you know?
Yeah. And then they'll say upgrade to 200
This is
gigabytes.
also interesting. You have a Olama model tester. So if you have Olama running like on your machine, like I do here, and you actually have different models running, this one allows you to actually take them through their paces and say like, okay, here's the one that gives you the most in terms of speed. Here's the one that gives you the most in terms of data, memory consumption. So it's an interesting thing to optimize your local workflow as well if you are so inclined to do that. And yeah, these are all the tips and tricks that I found and I thought we're going for. And now I think it's time to actually take a look at the madness that is going around here and play a round of fake or news with you. So I brought headlines together. Hopefully you're going to tell me if they're real or not. All right. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So I can't hear you.
Oh.
What? Okay. Sorry about that.
Chris might just rejoin us in a second. We'll see. Again, brilliant, isn't it, when it's live? But anyone who's watching now will be the only people that actually see this, because once I edit this later, this will have never happened. And Chris will have smoothly...
All right. You're here?
There we go.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Can you talk? So I can hear you.
Hello. I can't.
Chris, refresh the
okay.
refresh the tab.
All right, Dan, can you say something? Okay, you said you're saying something. I can't hear you.
Hello. Test.
Okay.
Hello. Test.
Refresh the page. Refresh. Chris, if you refresh.
Well, he can't hear that if you tell him.
Yeah, I'm just putting that in the chat to him. Is this great? We get to do all this live.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk and hopefully hear you somehow, but no, I actually don't. Refresh the page.
He's probably going to disappear from this, but we'll bring him back on in a second.
What's the refresh?
StreamYard. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Okay. I love this because it's sort of like how many techies as well does it take to, like to screen share? Because we're only doing something simple, but this actually is good workmen blaming their tools, because it's not us, it is StreamYard. There he is. We can hear you, Chris.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
All right.
Yeah.
So let's share the screen again and then play fake or news. Cool stuff.
All right. And here we go. Smooth.
There we go. Let's start. Parents say ChatGPT got their son killed with bad advice on party drugs.
Unfortunately, that just instantly feels real, doesn't it? It's just terrible.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Oh, please tell me.
And it's news.
Yeah.
It feels weird though, like our son took drugs. It feels like a weird thing to actually complain about, but okay. Meta's latest VR headset requires retinal scan every 30 seconds to prevent unauthorized access.
I wish that was true, but I don't think so.
No.
I like that.
It's fake. Google taps SpaceX for $920 million per month AI compute deal.
At this stage, I don't even know if that number seems too high or too low, but I'm going to say that feels like a real headline. What do you think, Tim?
There is a deal, but I don't know if the number is correct. So
It is real. It's $920 million. What?
Come on.
Claude AI helps uncover forgotten Bitcoin fortune worth $400K hidden for 11 years.
I
I'm going to say
think
no.
I remember I've read something like that. Yes, some guy lost his password and Claude was able to hack it or something.
I'm not convinced.
It is news.
Yeah.
Wow.
South Korean police lose seized crypto by posting password online.
I could see that happening. Yeah, definitely. Incompetence.
Yep, it's news.
Yeah.
Empty Waymo cars are converging on one Atlanta cul-de-sac. No one can explain why.
Waymo again. They're here every week, aren't they? Yes, that has to be true.
Yes, yeah. Definitely did happen.
Yeah.
It is true. Samsung Galaxy S26 AI enrollment found buried in 47-page terms update. Users report automatic opt-in to data sharing.
I haven't heard about it, but it feels like it could be real. Yeah, S26 already. Wow, feels like a lot of phones.
It could be. I don't know.
What do you think, Tim? True news or not?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
Fake. AI meeting summaries found inserting hallucinated action items directly into corporate Jira backlogs.
100%. Yeah, true.
1000%.
Yeah.
Definitely somewhere.
Oh,
Fake.
no. I knew it. As soon as you
Well,
said 1,000.
the answer is hallucinated, so technically it's news.
No, there you go. Genius.
UK government accidentally publishes classified threat briefing after civil servant used AI summarizer with auto-publish enabled.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. We'll check.
That kind of sounds too good to be true, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's fake.
You're good at this.
How sheep and solar power work together at the Volkswagen Chattanooga factory.
Yeah, that feels real. I think Tim's with me on that. Yeah,
it's a real story as well. They also had another story from Microsoft with another solar park where they had a donkey protecting it. That was all cute news.
Wow.
Meta is building AI data centers in tents.
Probably wherever they can put them at the moment.
Yeah, they put them everywhere, like in caves, underwater. Why not?
Yeah, it's on the moon next. So yeah, a tent.
Yeah.
Yep, it's news. Adobe patches critical bug where Photoshop's AI filled images with competitor logos.
I hope that's true because I've shown you some amazing things from Photoshop's AI. Yeah, I hope that's true.
Yeah.
No, it's also fake.
Just competitive.
It's fake. It's fake. It's fake that they didn't fix it yet.
Yeah, probably. No, they didn't put any other logos in there. That was the other problem. But yeah, I found that juxtaposition that actually somebody got $400,000 from crypto back, and that the police in Korea loses seized crypto by posting the password online in the same week was just fun.
Amazing.
It's just so bizarre what's happening.
Yeah, it feels like the cycle, doesn't it? Or like they're related. Yeah, like it was meant to happen. Yin and yang.
Cool. All right. So that was Faker News for today. So let's go to you, Tim. So you had some time on your hands lately, and you played with a few things. And what is Smoover, and what do you want to do with that?
So, in really just the TLDR version, Smoover is an index around companies who are active in developer relations. Like if you have GitHub, some npm whatever packages, if you have a community, maybe if you run a blog, if you run YouTube channels, we can put all of that together in an index. And the main reason I'm doing that is that in past, less than anything, developer relations is not comparable. Like if you're looking at two different companies, you can say, oh, look, they do a little bit on GitHub, they do a little bit there, they do a little bit there, but you have no means to actually compare that. There's no numeric value, there's no, like, search engine optimization you can compare in some way. You can compare two companies, you can compare the traffic, and you can have an easy time comparing things. But that never worked for DevRel, because it's also a huge part of that is also narrative and quality. Like one company might have 5,000 docs, but they're actually bad in that sense. The other company only has 10 docs, but they are the best docs you can write. And now I'm trying to put all of that in relation to actually help companies get more visibility in what they're actually doing and being able to compare them with competitors, and also maybe have some numbers for their higher ups to show, look, we improved on that number or whatever. It's really early.
It feels a bit like CloudScore used to be for social media, where people were basically followed you on all your different platforms and showed you like what your impact was. Can you share a screen and show us what that looks like?
Totally can. I'm not sure if I
I mean, it's hard enough to measure DevRel for your own company, but then measuring companies against each other is an interesting thing to see. So it's can you pump it up?
Yeah, and none of that is actually like when I was working at DeepL, I had a couple of things I asked LLMs myself. I had a couple of skills I used. Nothing really nothing really properly done. But then I thought, look, everything I had, the ideas I had in my head were like, okay, that might be useful for more than just me. And so I came up with that. And if we look at any random company right now, I currently have these main pillars, is what I call them. One is code and adoption, education and onboarding, the community, reach and readiness, and momentum. And when you look at them, the code and adoption is mostly about, hey, do they have packages? Do they have downloads on packages? What's the kind of made up velocity? Velocity is just calculated by the age of the package in general. So when was the package first time uploaded, using monthly download, and we get a velocity. Repository health is mostly around how polished are the repositories. Do they use tags? Do they have a proper README? Do the repositories have proper descriptions? So pretty much the basic things you should do anyway.
Mhm.
And then education is all about how good is the documentation? Do people find quick start things in the docs? How easy would an agent understand your documentation? And then it's doing reviews of the READMEs of the currently, I think, top 3 repositories. I might change that and see how good and easy are the READMEs, how easy it is to get started, pretty much. Community is just signals across the board. How many external contributors are there? How many stars? How many forks? What's the overall sentiment? And for the overall sentiment, it's taking it's taking, I think, the last 30 issues on a repository, running that through an LLM to figure out, hey, are people freaking out and are people really negative about something? Or are they coming, complaining, but are still kind of nice? Because that, in my eyes, makes a huge difference. Someone has a problem, can't work, but still comes politely to you. They respect you way more than someone who comes to you and shout at you. So I'm trying to judge the sentiment as well. For Discord, for example, I currently only scan whether there is a Discord or not, because Discord is a black box. Just have a bot in there. There's no way to say what's going on. And the reach and AI readiness is pretty much checking, do they do the minimum things like, hey, do they have an LLM's text everywhere? Do they have an MCP server? Do they have a blog at YouTube, which is probably indexable? And how often is the company mentioned, for example, on Hacker News, on Reddit, is what we're currently scanning? And how much developer content is there on the blog and YouTube? So if they have a blog at YouTube, but it's 100% marketing content, then we don't count it in that sense.
Mhm.
And
So how does that all work? Do you do that by hand? Is there an agent that does that? Do you have a script running? Do you have a bot that goes through through GitHub? Like, where did the data come from?
It's a mix of many things. It's mostly a service I wrote which just pretty much runs every minute and constantly goes through all the, like, a lot of that is just deterministic, going to GitHub, seeing if there are any changes. For the raw numbers, we just use the GitHub API. And for the narrative and for the more like explaining features, we send the data to an LLM. And that LLM then puts out the narrative.
So for the growth, are you, for example, are you just doing a comparison? Is that what that sort of script will do? Or do a comparison with like the current numbers or last week's numbers? Is there like a sort of milestone, like every Monday morning? You know, how does it do the comparison on like is it a weekly basis or?
A lot of that still has to grow. The basic idea is for GitHub, for example, for any public repository, you get data, I think, for the maximum of 90 days back. Like if you don't have an API key, if you don't sit in the org, you only get 90 days. And so I'm actually tracking that, and then in 90 days, I can actually see how much was it's changed in the last 90 days. But also the values itself are constantly pretty much updated every day. And I keep track of my numbers in that sense. Do they currently have a huge jump in downloads, and then that would be reflected in the overall rating, which I track every time it's changed.
I see.
Mm-hmm. One interesting thing that I found is localization. Like, I mean, it's very easy to say like a company is very good at DevRel because the people actually post a lot of stuff on GitHub and these kind of things. I mean, when I worked for Microsoft, it was always like, okay, we how much do you have in the US? Because that's the important market. But we had huge successes in India. We had huge successes in Poland and those places. So it would be interesting to have a comparison for that one as well, to break it down to different markets rather than just saying like, okay, you only focus on Americas, but here's a lot of opportunity that you're actually missing out on.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing I wanted to achieve with that is also just to make people think about it. Like I didn't expect to come up with something that's perfect straight away. Like I've been in touch with people, and they already said, "Oh, look, that number. I don't really like that. Let's talk about it, whatever." And I instantly said, "Look, yeah, I want to keep it fair for everyone, and I want to evolve it into something people can trust." I don't know if we are there yet, and many numbers probably need to change. We need to check more signals. I even want to have a way for people to be able to add their Discord to that. Maybe I write a little bot they can invite into Discord, and then we can track Discord activity and sentiment in Discord, for example. There's a lot more ideas in my head to improve that for people.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a comparison site like that. I mean, it would be something that I guess we are developers platform could offer as well. I mean, this is a place where this is really interesting to see. The only worry I have with any comparison site is like sooner or later there will be people offering lots of money to show them as the best ones. So I mean, I hope you would get that into that problem. But I found these measuring things become very gameable after a while. So that's one thing that I really find annoying.
That was one reason why the whole thing is not open source yet, for example. At the beginning, I thought, oh, let's put it open source on GitHub. But then I was like, okay, if everyone knows the exact code, how things are done, and then they can easily game it. I don't think that would be fair. But the other problem is I have right now, and I'm trying to solve it, but I don't know. Obviously, the big ones appear pretty high. Like especially GitHub is was pretty much always in the top 3 at least. That's because of the just absurd amount of reach GitHub has. The numbers are just, and I try to tune it down and then have like formulas that include age, for example. So younger companies have like a little bit better scoring if they grow fast. But everything I do with all formulas I change, GitHub always ends up being that high because they are that large and they do that much. And they,
Well, I mean, they are the platform. That's the thing. Like, I mean, all the others are hosting their stuff on GitHub, and one of your criteria is if they have a good GitHub account or if they have a good GitHub repo. So that would be one thing where maybe you can just take them out and say like, okay, let's have a filter mechanism of saying like, don't show hosting parts or show basically companies that are in. Or cut down by vertical and say like, okay, these are security companies, these are hosting company, these are kind of things. So that would be one way of.
Yeah, what I already did, I probably add more, but I said like companies need to have an easy way to compare themselves with similar companies. So at least I have like a filter for all software as a service companies, or you can compare yourself with other players in AI or with other platforms, for example. I probably should add a lot more than that. But then you can compare yourself directly with companies who are at least somewhat doing the same.
Hmm.
You could probably add like really actual verticals in there as well. Yeah, it's early.
Could it be like a simple? I'm just wondering if there's like actually some kind of blunt instrument you can achieve that with, in terms of like, could it just be something with a maximum, anything over with a certain number of contributors, or I don't know. I'm just trying to think. There could be something that's like, that if something is over a certain size, you filter it out, almost a way of going like, here's the corporates and here's the indies. But I know it will be quite like skewed, because you'll have some packages that or whatever that will just be massive, or sites that just pop up because we all use them in some way. But I'm just wondering if there is some way you could do it just based on like quite a simple thing rather than a formula. It's just,
yeah, I mean, amount of people working in the companies versus amount of people using their stuff would be an interesting one, but it's also unfair because I'm quite sure GitHub has thousands of people, but I know that 2 or 3 people are working in that DevRel thing, So it's like, it's always very easy to say large companies have large teams, but normally they don't. They have like very dedicated teams to certain parts. So that would be
you can
interesting.
already. One thing I thought is interesting while I was working on that, you can already see that the companies who traditionally do something for developers, like platforms, for example, or any API products, are putting way more effort into that, like more normal companies. Like if you look at Asana, for example, just a task management tool, they have an API. They are used a lot by their API, but they are pretty low, and that's kind of the same for all of them. If you use Brike, is a direct competitor of Asana, the same. And I don't know, Teamwork, for example, is another one. They are all roughly the same. They're doing a little bit so people know about the API, but then that's about it. And if you look at like the larger platforms, whatever, they know how important developer relations is. They do a lot more.
I mean, one thing that would be interesting to offer is basically an improvement score, saying like, hey, here's what's missing on your platform. That's why you're not as whole there. So you got the DevRel coach for that one, I guess.
I'm not sure if it's loading right now. Yeah, exactly. So the idea was to offer people. I'm not sure if yet. I think I used that for Superbase actually. The idea is to have a DevRel coach. That's what I named it, with all the data I have, where it gives you fine-tuned tasks, what to improve based on your actual repositories, based on your actual situations. Like I'm still working on that, but it look at your GitHub and says, look, oh, this repository should have more examples. It would suggest a certain blog post to write, all these kind of things. It gives you full history. It gives you a list of all the things where you are mentioned, because that are really strong signals as well for everyone. If many people talk about you on Reddit, that's a pretty good sign.
Or bad.
And I have all that data, so yeah.
That's great. That's so good.
That is really useful, yeah. The other thing, of course, would be like, are they hiring? Are they firing? What's going on there? Like, who are the people? Or, I mean, I find it very fascinating going through LinkedIn and seeing how people are going from one company to another in the DevRel space, and like how many people are coming back to a company 2 years later. That kind of story as well was interesting to see, because I've always been very frustrated that there was a whole movement of DevRel for hire in between, rather than just like people in the company doing DevRel. And I found that a very unfortunate change, because it felt to me just like you might as well hire a marketing person. It's not to me not developer evangelism or developer advocacy if you're not really ingrained in the product. It feels like very strange.
I'm seeing that right now, because I've been talking to companies. People are reaching out to me, and I've been like having conversations with companies just looking for a job, whatever. But many companies don't see the value in developer relations at all. They give you, I don't know, 60K, and you're actually doing 5 jobs for them. And that's the story you hear really often. And it really happens rarely that a company really values DevRel and knows how important it is, and knows how important the people are in the field who know what they're doing, because it is education in the company and outside the company. Like at DevRel, I was educating the marketing team in how to talk to developers. Like,
and not promise features that can't be done. A bit.
Yeah, exactly. And that is actually something I think is way more important going forward, to be honest, because at the beginning we can talk about how DevRel needs to change for AI, for example. And I think one thing you can really do is the whole narrative behind things AI doesn't know. You're killing feature X, Y, Z. AI can only see, oh, look, that API is deprecated. And then you can actually have a YouTube video and produce content around why you did that, and do that in a nicely way, and trying to explain everything behind to people, all the things AI doesn't know based on README, whatever.
And the story behind it as well. I like the comparison thing as well, that this is a company, that this would be a tool where companies strive to become better because they see their competitors are doing. And I see with social media, I get like hourly emails of like, hey, we can do a competitive analysis for you for VR developers, and there's millions of tools out there for social media reach, but nobody thought about the DevRel reach yet because it feels niche, but I think it's a very interesting bit to do, and I mean it keeps you busy, so that's quite fun as well. How much fun did you have building that? Like, what did you start from? Did you start from scratch? Did you write code it?
Yeah, well, a lot of that is white coded, and it actually started because I got an offer from Lovable. Something, if you're a LinkedIn member, then you get 300 credits for free to try something on Lovable. And then I was sitting in Lovable, like, what am I actually doing now? And then I kind of came up with the idea for that, and then Lovable built the first part of it. I built, like, it's hosted on Lovable right now. So it's using Superbase, Postgres in the background, and all that stuff. But since I've been doing a lot with Claude as well. Because Lovable is really great for the initial MVP things and getting something out there. And when you need to fine tune certain features and all that, then either doing things manually, like the layout, did many UI pieces manually. And at some point, Claude is just better for the deeply nested thing, especially when you need to figure out how to, for example, get data from Reddit and or from how do you pull hacker news frequently. Then Claude is doing that way better than Lovable. So it's a little bit of everything, to be honest.
That's a good mix.
Yeah,
it was
UI
amazing. Like, yeah, just seeing these tiny things work. I wanted to have. I wanted to have external contributors, so I needed to figure out a way to find out who is making pull requests to a company, but is not a member of the actual organization. That only works if they have their membership public, but still, it works partially. And figuring all these details out, working with the GitHub API again to figure out all the details I need. That's a lot of fun. I did not write much of the code myself, but I did all the figuring out the details myself.
Yeah, we had Appify on the show before, and they're a company that actually have excelled at that one, to basically get you access to things and scrape data and get data where it's tricky to get. It would be interesting to see if you could use a skill with them to actually optimize a few of the things that you do right now.
Yeah, I'm currently using Firecrawl, which it does its job, but it could be better, and I'm slowly running into issues where I have to rebuild a couple of things, because getting documentation, GitHub, whatever, for 1,000 companies every day is already a lot. And there are probably way more companies out there we could add. And it's just a scaling problem, to be honest.
You get you introduced to them and see if there can be some optimization for that one. Would be interesting to see.
That would be great.
Cool. Well, that was the Smoover, and you basically, let's see if that's going to be the next cloud where people get super excited and companies are actually gonna compare each other and get excited about it, and it would be fascinating to see because it's hard to measure, as I said, internally, but comparing with each other would be interesting to see. And it's fascinating to see that the size thing was the first thing that came up. Like, okay, like these companies are doing a lot, but they're also the companies that are native to that environment, whereas others just build a piece of software and wonder now what if DevRel can help them to make it better or to get more reach, and not get discouraged by not being able to beat them in terms of numbers that easily.
No, and I think a lot of what I do and what I showcase with Smoover are things you need to do these days for AIs anyway. Like having a proper polished README and having things the AI can easily ingest is something you need to do anyway to stay relevant. It, no longer just for people, you're doing that for AI as well.
Well, a bit like the Chrome DevTools now actually have these features in there as well of AI readiness. They just realized that as well, like, okay, optimizing for speed, optimizing for performance is one thing, but here's the other bits that you need to do to get that extra mile. So yeah, I'm very excited about that coach bit. I think that's something where there's a real interesting feature in there because you want people to get like a list of like bugs that can be filed immediately to their GitHub, to say like, hey, here's the 5 things you could do, or build an agent to fix it for you. That would be the other thing.
Yeah, I actually have a question for you guys. When I was working on the coach, I was thinking about adding a feature that would pretty much create pull requests automatically for the things. Hey, you need to write an example. Here's a button. But then I thought, hey, a lot of what I do is about education, and a lot of that is about helping people to grow and learn. And when I have buttons doing everything for them automatically, they don't learn at all. They just have a service doing things for them, and it doesn't improve the situation in that sense. So I said, no, I give them what everything they need, all the information, but they still have to actually do it themselves. And that was kind of a deliberate decision for now.
I think that is the right decision to make because, I mean, it's the same with like fix all accessibility bugs with one button, which is never the case. But it's or like get all performance done just by pressing this button, and this is how we get things like what was the Google thing where it optimized your stuff automatically for mobile that then nobody wanted anymore. So yeah, these magical solutions are great, but at the same time, they're also a lot of times snake oil. And I think the idea that you want to do with that is to get people take DevRel serious. And that means they actually have to find somebody internally to do it rather than just have a service automatically do it for them. Same with SEO, same with like performance, like speed of your website. It's like, of course, you can do a lot of stuff immediately, but I think it makes more sense to have somebody internally do that. And I love that you put that extra effort in and not just like, I build a magical tool to fix it for you.
It could be an idea though on this, Tim, just to say it might be something though from the organization's point of view. It could be you could have like a safe mode as default, that doesn't let you just sort of create all these PRs and things like this. But then they could maybe turn off safe mode if they want that automation, because it feels like if you've got the feature there, or maybe it could be useful, but it would be good maybe not, like you're saying, not as default. I think as default they need to learn or at least know the downsides to like turning that off.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if it's just like you have no README and then the button creates a README that is auto-generated, that is not a README, but it's just text me. So that's not helpful either then,
Yeah.
Index me.
Yeah, that's the point. A lot of that, I think you still have to either write yourself or at least invest some time in having an AI generated properly in your brand tone or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, we're at the end of the hour. This was interesting enough. Any last words, Tim, for the audience out there? Anything you want to get off your chest to talk to people about?
No, not right now. looking forward to looking forward to Berlin.
Yes, me too. Also, Cope 100, we still need competitors, so please fill that form and come out there. So we're gonna push that again soon on our social media platforms, because right now we got 4 people and that's not enough, but we need 32 at least. But I'm quite sure given that there's something that's coming and cooking in the background from our friends at NVIDIA and maybe AWS as well. So it makes it more interesting to become a Code 100 challenger in the near future. And yeah, I guess that's it from us for today. I mean, I just realized one thing the other day, that like hyphenated doesn't have a hyphen in it, but non-hyphenated has a hyphen in it.
I love that. I love that. Only you would realize that, Chris, but it's brilliant. I'm glad you did.
Nothing is real. Everything is a lie. Thanks very much. And this was We Are Developers Live for today. See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.